Hello everyone,
Hello.
and welcome to this new Odoo Insider session. Today I'm very pleased to welcome Jürgen as a new, presentator for this session, and we'll do a focus today on a very specific topic, which is a newly, released payroll localization for Switzerland. The idea of this session is really to go deeply in the configuration and the use of these new features, and for that we need to know first what happened. And what happened is that you have now a newly available module that you can install in your database in Odoo that is called the SwissDeck Certified Payroll ELM 5.0 that you can install directly in your database. If you already had, here the first localization that was available, you can simply add it, add the ELM one to your database. If you do not use any one of them for now, you can simply install the ELM one and everything will be installed accordingly. But the thing is that this new module has made possible for Odoo to be certified SwissDeck regarding the Swiss payroll, and therefore we had to put in place a lot of things to revamp completely the way the payroll was working for Switzerland. And that's what you can see here on the presentation, with, let's say, the different things that are added, as the insurances, the way of configuring it and creating it, the employees, the contract management as well, going afterwards to the payslip generation and the transmission. Jürgen, I give you the hand now. You can show us what it looks like.
So we'll start from a scratch DB, 0 things configured, and we'll go and do the whole payroll flow. So first of all, as Antoine said, we check if we have the right module. So we type Swiss, and we see that everything is correctly installed. So we can go on the payroll app. And as you can see, we changed quite a lot of stuff. We removed the dashboard. We removed a lot of unused menus for Switzerland. So here you have everything you need. The first step will be to, of course, create our employees. So we'll start with a very simple one, Egli Anna, which is born on the 1st January 2000. Okay. Nationality, we'll do someone that is that has source tax, so French, which has a residence category of annual B permit, subject to source tax, of course. We enter her family information, so single. She divorced on the 1st of January, sadly. Residency. Oops. Résidence canton Lucerne. And the OFS municipality here.
And maybe a question.
Yes.
About the family, like here for now, you just define, if you come back to this, like the current marital status of of the employee. There is no need to enter, let's say, the past, the past.
No, this is all historized in the backend, so you don't need to specify the past. The system knows it.
Okay, so
if you change, every month everything is historized, so there's no issue with that.
Okay, great.
So we put our personal information, family, and residency. Those are the 3 core steps when you create an employee. If he has source tax, you have to configure it here. So we first have to define the type of scale. So we have the most usual one, the tariff code, with the different tariffs. We have the eligible children for deduction, and the different parameters here, which are church tax, and if the code is specially approved by the tax authorities, which gives us this code A0N. The source tax canton is Lucerne here, and the source tax municipality 1061.
It's computed then.
Yes. So those 3 are automatically computed based on the information. Let's imagine that this person was living in France. Then the source tax relevant canton will be the one from her workplace, but we still haven't defined a workplace, so nothing appears here. So we'll go back to Switzerland. Okay. So in terms of our employee, we have everything set up. We'll create a second one. Mark Frank, which for the sake of easiness is born at the same time. And he is Swiss, which is not subject to source tax. Okay. One little detail, we have this new field employee number, which is a unique identifier for your employee, so that at each transmission you can kind of assign a number to one employee so that it's always the same between transmissions.
Okay, so the idea is then not to edit it afterwards.
No.
Okay.
You can edit it if you want, but usually it's like a unique identifier for the employee. Right now you have to input it manually, but I think we will add the possibility to automatically make it for you based on the ID or something like that.
If you ever, say by mistake, give 2 times the same number, do you have a...
You will have a warning.
Okay,
like this.
Great.
We cannot have 2 times the same unique ID.
It seems easy to configure here the employees, but still you decided not to put any required fields on the model. We'll see afterwards why, but that's also the idea of, let's say, not being stuck when you configure the employee if you miss one information.
In the previous version, the fields were kind of hidden everywhere. Nobody knew where to go. So here you have everything that you need, and no field is useless here. So if at some point you have to fill something, you will not get blocked, you will not get a warning, but at the moment you try to close your payroll of the month, you will get the warnings regarding different employees that says, okay, this person is missing this information, please fill it. We'll see that later. So that was the easy part, the fun part. Now we go on the funniest part, the insurance configuration. But first we have to configure 2 things. The work locations, so the main entity, the main work address of the company. Here we'll just do 1. So either give the BUR RE number or an in-house ID if you have an accord with the OFS BFS. So we'll just do 1, 2, 3 here.
An agreement then? An
agreement with the OFS. Thank you, Anton.
Okay, so just once again to make it clear, as you said, so the work address can be useful if, let's say, the employee is not located in Switzerland?
Yes, so if an employee, for example, lives in France, he's subject to source tax, so his source tax canton will be the one of his workplace. So here, Luzerne will be his source tax canton if he didn't live in Switzerland. So here we tell the normal working hours of the office. Second step, we have to configure the wage statement. So this is in France, the certificat de salaire. Here we define a global profile for the whole company. You can create multiple ones, but usually it's just one. We call it main company.
The idea is to get a template.
Yes, exactly. It's a template. And we'll just take these 2 for the sake of simplicity, but you have everything required to really say what benefits does an employee have. Here we created it, so we can add it to our employees. So this is Egli Anna. And we choose the template that we just created. And here it retakes all the information. But you can have specificities for each employee. And you can say, for example, here she has 3,000 francs of relocation costs paid by the company.
Yes, and this setup is then specific to this employee. Yeah. I see a message in the chatter, which is related to what we do here was at least what you did just previously with the workplace, I think, when you defined it. Can you come back to the workplace definition?
Yeah.
Yes, work location. The field in the top right corner, bureau number. What is it, and how can they know where to find it?
So this is something that is, I'm honestly not sure where you can find it, but each workplace normally is assigned this number. I know this is only mandatory for the statistic declaration. So if you're not doing statistic declaration, we will soon remove the requirements on those fields. So you will be able to leave it empty soon if you don't do statistics. So if you don't have that number, don't worry. In the next update, we'll remove the required constraint here.
Okay.
Okay, what we have here is also the wage type. So here you can see all the different wage types of your company with all the different bases in terms of what insurance is it subject to, so AVS, LA, and so on. So if you want to find, for example, a wage type, you can just search for it here.
I think this page is quite important also. And if you want to investigate a bit how the tool is working and see if it corresponds to what you expect as well. I know in the search bar it's a bit like you can, when you type it, you can find, and you can search on different criteria.
Yes, for example, if we search for car, we will see all the relevant wage types related to cars. For example, the private share of company car. Well, here it's not related to car, but you get the idea.
I have maybe a question here because, I mean, so what we have in front of us is a salary rule, basically from the standard payroll module. But still, here we see that we cannot, let's say, create new wage types. And I think it's not also, let's say, suggested to edit them. Am I right?
You're right. Like we are certified, so the idea here is that the user should not be able to add or remove wage types. So if we see that someone really needs one, if we get a lot of feedbacks about a specific wage type that's not present, we will, on our side, implement it here for you. So now let's get down to the insurances. We will start with the LA, in German UWG. So we have 3 mandatory fields: the insurance number, your customer number, and the contract number. And here, if you've used the previous versions, we cannot change how you create your LA solution. So before you had to create manually each type of solution, so A0, A1, A2, A3. Now we just have to create one group. So here our group will have these values. So this is the occupational part, which is paid by the company. And here you have the non-occupational part, which is paid either fully by the employee or 50% by the company, or, as I've got this question often, 100%. But if it's paid 100% by the company, this is not configured here. I'll show you later how to make it 100. Now we go with our LPP, BVG in German.
Are all of them mandatory, or is it possible to generate the payslip, let's say, without some of the insurances?
I think AVS, the CAF, LA, and LPP are mandatory, and LA, CGM are optional. But correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah? There might be like some special cases where you don't have an LA, or but it's very specific cases. So here we can create our codes for the LPP if you have some, if you have an agreement with your insurance. Now that we did LA LPP, we'll create our AVS. And we just need to input the member number, the LA that we just created, the validity date of this one, the LPP that we just created, and the validity date. The rates are all pre-configured by Odoo, since those are common to every AVS. So you don't need to configure anything here.
Are they supposed to change, I don't know, like on a yearly basis, for example?
No, this will be automatically updated every year and every change by Odoo.
Okay. I see, just before you go to the next point, an
Yes.
answer from Roger in the chatter, which is telling us about the way of getting, let's say, then, a way maybe to get the BUR number by contacting here, so a specific email address, or going to a specific web page. So pretty interesting if you want to make me maybe test that. Just check the answer of Roger on LinkedIn to see what he
Perfect.
proposed.
Thank you, Roger. So we just did the main ones. I forgot the CAF, just the FCF, which is the same as our AVS. And we'll add here our company rate at 0.5. Here you see an employee rate. This is only valid for the Valais canton. So most of the other, all the other cantons will have 0 here. Let's go with the LAAC or UVGZ for Germans. And here a bit more complicated than LAA, but still pretty straightforward. We will create 2 solutions, one going from 0 to 200,000. And we'll create a second solution, which is A2, that will go from 200,000 to 500,000, which is the insured wage, yearly wage, of course. And the IGM, or KTG in German, will be exactly the same. They are really analogous to each other. So we'll do A1, 0 to 200,000. Here usually for the EGM you might have some differences in the male and female rate. And here we'll go from 200,000 to 500,000. Okay, so we're good for the insurances.
Great.
Any remarks, Antoine, about that?
I think it's pretty clear. It's just that, of course, I know that some questions that I already got from clients or partners on that topic was, okay, I don't exactly know what kind of format maybe the different fields expect.
Yes.
And I think you already told me once that there is no, let's say, one format that is available. So it's really something that they should check with the insurance. And
if you want to check insurance codes, you can go on swissdeck.sh, destinataire de données, and here you can have the list of all the insurances that are SwissDeck certified that are ready to receive data through SwissDeck. So you have their name and their code and what different insurances they are. For example, here, what I just put was the AVS for Luzerne. And you can search the same for insurance for LA, CGM, and LPP. If your insurance is not there, it means that it is not SwissDeck certified and that it cannot receive data, but you can still put it here and generate paper reports to send them. So it's not an issue.
I think from a general point of view, maybe having, let's say, the SwissDeck website in the favorites, it's a good idea to
it's a good idea.
come back to this and make sure that you have the right information. Great, okay, so here the insurances are configured, the employee as well. What would be the next step?
The next step, as we saw, we have one employee that is subject to source tax in Luzerne. So we need to inform in the system our source tax institutions. So here we have the ACI Luzerne. And you need to ask your ACI your DPI number. We just put it here and we're gone. One last step is to import the tax rates from this canton. So this is a new feature that I love. Before you were, to do this, you had to do a manual import, go on the website, download the zip file, extract, put the TXT. That was a nightmare. Now we added the automatic import. So you can choose to import every canton or import one single canton.
Which is faster, of course.
Which is faster. Import every canton will take 4 or 5 minutes, depending on your internet, of course. So we import Luzerne. And we're good to go. Did I forget anything? No, I think we should be good. Okay.
Great.
So this was the first 2 steps of setup. Now we have to set up our employees' remuneration. So we will create them contracts. So a contract is an entry in the company. We'll do Egliana 80%. The start date, she entered earlier this year. Her workplace, which is the defined workplace. Her type of contract, so you have a choice between these ones. And we'll do a permanent contract with monthly salary and put her at 80% work rate. And here we define how she's paid. So she has a monthly wage of 8,000. Then you have other information such as the job position, for example. We'll do here comptable. Holidays that she's entitled if she was at 100% work time rate. So we leave 2010. If she has the right to a 13th month, here we will say yes. And the contractual rate of this 13th month.
Great. So, I mean, this is pretty easy indeed to, once again, there are checkboxes and drop-down lists, so it's pretty easy to configure. But I think people need to also understand that it has a lot of impact as well afterwards on the generation of the payslip as well. I know you already told me, for example, that you to have access to some, let's say, wage types and computation in the payslip. You need to be, for example, in some case in hourly wage, because these, some wage types are related to hourly wage, some are related to monthly wage as well. So it's important, yes, to probably set up, this page especially, I think.
Yes. For example, the 13th month, if you are on a hourly wage, will get paid each month, but it's a different wage type from the 13th month of the monthly wage. So, and you can, of course, select multiple ones. Insurance, we'll put the ones that we just created. And here you can see the LA solution type. So if you are in the case where the company pays 100% of the non-occupational part, you would select here these two. So she's occupational and non-occupational insured without deductions, meaning that the company pays for everything. Her different LASA insurances, you can put up to 2. Same for the EGM. Even if the wage is not, let's say, part of the second range? Yes, it's just if one time she has, for example, a big bonus or a big commission and she gets over that, the second solution will take over that part of the wage. So it's probably better than to always select, as much insurance as possible. Depends on the policy of the employee. So it's when she's or he in the company, it's decided that she will have these 2 insurances for that. Or LPP. And here we can define the LPP contributions per month for the company and for the employee. I know I will get the question, can I put a percentage? When is LPP in percentage going to come? It's coming. Just be patient. There is a switch as well, not for these values there on the right. Aren't they computed in a way? Yes, but the percentage is not a simple percentage of the gross. It's a bit. Okay, that's right. It's a bit more complicated to compute, but it's coming. And the new feature of this version, which I found amazing, is this tab. You will spend a lot of time in this tab, which is the monthly wage types. So we saw here the basic wage, so the monthly or hourly, but you can also define monthly recurring wages. Such as, for example, as I showed earlier, private share of the company car, an amount, and of course we have to rededuct it. So deduction, private portion of company car, 400. This is like the equivalent of the ATN in Belgium. Also interesting to note that here, you always put the amount in a positive way, because the fact that this is positive or negative is inside the wage type itself. Exactly. Deduction, or if it is an allowance. Yeah. Exactly. So this will automatically be treated as a deduction. And you can also put an additional description here that will appear on the payslip. So if I put ABC, ABC will appear on the payslip. If you don't put anything, the default line will be this one, this name. Now, other things we can do with this is handle cantonal deductions. For example, in Genève, we have la mat, or is it called something else? Whatever, you get the idea. And here, as you see, the unit changed, so we have a percentage. We can also put the employer part. And here, every month, this employee will get deducted 0.4% of his AVS salary, meaning basically his gross salary. So it's just a generic way of putting specific cantonal deductions that are not described by the Swiss standard, and that you can put yourself here depending on your canton, or if you have also some specific deductions that depend on your convention collective, or how do we say that in English? Convention collective?
It's a social secretary, but yeah, it's.
I think people get the idea. So, what do I have an example of that? In Vaud, for example, PC famille. We could do that. So I'll remove that here.
I have a question maybe here, because I mean, to me, as you said, that is pretty important, is that those wage types are going to be taken into account every month.
Yes.
Is there a way to, let's say, then compute or let's say configure a wage type that's only going to be applied for a specific period of time?
Great question. This is also a new feature. I mean, not a new feature, but we made it easier to create. So if you want to make a wage type, for example, a commission, only applied on March, you go to this new button, one-time payments, which prompts you to a calendar view. And here you can select the month where you will input your wage type. So here, commission, she earned 5,000 francs. And of course, always the additional description that replaces the name on the payslip if you wish to. And you have here on the right a resume of everything for the year.
Okay, great.
Okay, I think we're done with Anna.
Is it needed to put the contract in running stage?
That's a very good remark. I mean, there is a cron that will run every once and then that will put every contract that has quote unquote started based on the date. But if you want to do it immediately and create payslips immediately, you can click running immediately. But if you wait a bit and you don't have to create your payslips on the second, the cron will automatically schedule new, running, and expired.
Yes, and it also allows you to create, let's say, contract for your future employees that are starting next month, earlier, and then you just wait for the cron.
So, for example, I could do a new contract for a new employee on the 1st of April, let it in new, and on the 1st of April, it will get on running automatically. So let's now let's do it for Mark. So Mark will be an hourly employee on the same workplace, started at the same date. His job position is informaticien. And we select permanent contract with salary hourly. He has an hourly wage of 50 francs per hour. And here we see these three new fields that pop. So we have the holiday compensation rate, we have the public holiday compensation, and we have this new feature that says, do we want to pay this holiday compensation every month? For example, there are some convention collective that say, we do not want to pay it every month, but we want to accumulate it in an account. So if you're in that case, you can simply untick this box, and the holiday compensation will be accumulated in a special account, and you will see at the bottom of the payslip the current accumulated amount. And when you decide to pay them, then it will be, of course, subtracted from the available amount. Insurances, we do the same thing. Here we will try paid 100% by the company. We will only give in one solution. And of course, since he's an hourly employee, you might ask, how do I pay his hours? So here of course, we have a new wage type, which is, again, if you look at the unit, it's not francs, it's not percentage, but it's now hours. And you can decide to pay an amount of hours. So here we do recurring 160 hours per month. Or you could decide, of course, like I said earlier, to pay special amount of hours on special months. So, or overtime, of course. You have 3 different types of hours. You have the paid hours, you have the paid overtime at 100% rate, and the paid overtime at 125% rate. And this will, of course, the rate will be calculated on the payslip based on your hourly rate. So let's not do that for now. We'll just add paid hours, and we'll add him, what can we add as?
There is a way now to make some vacation compensation for people in hourly wage.
That's what I explained here. So
yes,
the vacation compensation is here. I mean, it's called holiday. Maybe we should rename it to vacation to make it more explicit, but
no,
it's here. Okay, I think we are good for Mark. Let me check everything. Yes.
Yes, I think you can just put it in running as well, and then we go.
Very good remark, Antoine. Okay, now we are ready to run payslips. How do we do that? So we added this new little button that makes life very easy. So this will generate a batch based on these criteria. So here, if we select January, we can input a name, but you don't have to. Let's do January 25. And we have these different filters. So you can filter on the employee. So if I do that, a payslip will only be made for Egliana. If I leave it empty, it will be for every employee that had a running contract in January. Yes?
But what if I select Egliana, but I take the workplace, muster.
If you take another workplace that Egliana doesn't work to, just no payslips will be generated since no match will be found.
Okay, so it needs to meet all the criteria to make sure to, okay.
So if we leave everything empty, it will just create a batch for every employee of the company that has a running contract at this time. You can also choose on the batch if you want to pay the 30th month now or not.
It's for then the monthly wage contract? Or
the hourly wage will be automatically paid, but if you want to pay the 13th month for your monthly wages, you have to tick this box. Okay, let's go for January.
To me, that's really nice because if you remember, like in Odoo Standard, you need to go then from the work countries menu, which here doesn't really make sense. And also when you get a lot of employees, I mean, this menu can also be a bit less performing. So this tool is really nice, I think, and that's a very easy way then to generate the payslip for a certain month.
Okay, let's look at our payslips. So we have here a list view of everything, and we can check individually what's going on for our employees. So we see the monthly wages, the basic wages. We are with Egliana, which had an 8,000 franc wage per month. We see it here, and of course all the other inputs that we showed earlier. We can print it to check what it looks like. This is not really good in full screen.
Yes, you need to.
And here's the payslip of Egliana.
So you can print it even before you just confirm it, indeed, to make sure that it's properly computed.
Okay, so before our payslips had quite a lot of colors, and people were saying, this is too much colors. Now we decided to go full gray and black, and now usually people tell us, this is too gray and black. So it's hard to find a common point with clients, but with time we'll manage to find something beautiful for everyone. But I think this is pretty sober, pretty nice for a payslip.
It does the job. I have a question still. I mean, we are in front of people who like maybe to go a bit into customization and development. Is it possible, while we are still certified SwissDec, to, I don't know, edit, the report and
If you are
change the
good,
layout?
if you are good with XML, if you know how to code, you can go on the XML of this payslip and change the layout as you like. So
it's possible.
It's not an issue. It's possible. Okay, let's go back to our database. Okay, so here is the payslip of Eliana. Let's see the payslip of Mark. And as I told earlier, here I have no warnings because I did everything correctly. But let's imagine that I had forgotten to put something, for example, the nationality. You will see on the payslip this new feature that says missing nationality. So you will know once this pops on your payslip, this means that a mandatory field that is required will need to get filled. So if you click it, it will redirect you to the relevant model, and you will be able to put, what was his nationality? Was it
Switzerland, I
Swiss?
think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you put it, and the warning disappears. And we can see here his hourly salary with the base, which is his
That's the hourly wage.
basic hourly wage.
Yeah.
The factor, which is the number of hours, and you could, of course, flexibly here add overtime. For
Yes.
example, 20 hours of overtime.
So it's still possible to have this flexibility
Yes.
once it is generated to modify
Once
some values.
I mean, the contracts and define all the different possible values, define what should be the normal values, but once on the payslip, you also have the possibility to edit anything you like. Of course, you could also add other inputs, like other specific wage types. So you have 3 chances to add a new wage type on the contract, on recurring wages, on the one-time payments, and on the payslip itself.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we can validate our batch and mark it as paid. We check that everything is validated. Okay, now a more complicated case. We want to do our February batch. But the thing is that actually Anna didn't tell me the truth. She obtained her C permit on January. This means that she was not subject to source tax in January. How can we correct that? Well, we first define setlet here. And on the source tax page, we will do a correction. We assign her the code not subject to source tax. We validate it, and we will create a source tax correction. So this is very easy to do. You go on transmission, source tax correction, create a new one, Egli Anna, reason C permit withdrawal. This is a correction by the DPI, donc in correction by us. You can choose to either make it a manual correction, so it looks like this. You choose the wrong payslip, and you have all the values. If you are good at math and at source tax, you can do everything yourself. But we also have now this automatic correction method. You choose the relevant payslip, save the reason for the correction. So this is the withdrawal C permit. And it is valid as of January. So this is a retroactive correction of source tax. Let's see what it looks like when we make a new batch.
Indeed, because for now we see it is pending the correction.
Yes.
So it's
So you
waiting
have
for
3
something.
states. You have it in draft. So this will have no impact. You confirm it. It is pending. So on the next payslip, it will be added to the payslip. And once the payslip is paid, it will be confirmed. Let's do the example. February. We create our batch. And we check Egli Anna. Let's print it. And what do we see? Source tax adjustment, which is a refund of what she paid last month. And if you want to look at the details, you can go on this tab of the payslip, which are the technical lines, and you will see all the corrections that were performed for this month. So here, the previous amount was cancelled, and the new amount was inputted here, which is 0. And this is where the correction comes from, this minus 982 that you saw on the payslip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we validate, and we mark as paid. So that's basically how the whole flow works for the employees. That was the part of employee contract and insurance. Now we will look at the juicy part, the transmission, where you transmit data to the different institutions through SwissDec. And you have here all the different reports. So the first one is the EMA declaration, which is where you declare your entries, withdrawals, and mutations. So if I do it for January, so they all look the same. You have a year, a month, and these different options, which has if it's a test transmission or if it's a replacement of a previous declared salary. You have the different insurances that you are transmitting to, and you have a preview of what is being transmitted. So here you have Egli Anna and Mark Frank for this month, and all you have to do is to declare the salary. Then you have this page, which is the declaration itself. You have a trace of the declaration in the XML format, so everything is recorded. If you need assistance with that, you get the status of the declaration, and we see here the 3 institutions that we transmitted to, and you have different possible actions. So if you're familiar with SwissDec, you know what these are. You also have notifications, so those are messages that are sent by the institution. And if we look at the AVS, for example, if we get the result, we see here that some insurances, when you declare an entry, will generate you a proof of insurance for your employee. Odoo handles that with this button, generate proof of insurance, and you see here that it's automatically generated here. Since it's the SwissDec test server, this is like a fake employee, so if it was a real database, you would see a smart button here with all the generated proof of insurances that are automatically sent by email and posted on the Documents app.
Okay, impressive. I have maybe a question for that. I mean, is it like, it's then some kind of integration that we have? Is it something that they need to pay for? Like, is it, do they have credits, to send declaration and so on? Or is it part of the...
This is part of the whole package. So if you pay for the standard Odoo subscription, you will have access to everything that is posted here.
Great.
Same thing for the source tax declaration. So in January, we saw this data. We have only Egli Anna that is subject to source tax, and you can see a pre-visualization of what is being transmitted. You can also generate the report that is here, which is the standard SwissDec source tax report over here. If we look at what happened in February, we had a source tax correction, and of course, this is all transmitted as well. So you have a reversed month here for January with the old amounts and the new amounts that are communicated to the institution.
And I guess that's why you have also this option of the replacement declaration at the top.
Yes.
That's because you made do
no, here in this case, for source tax, when you make a correction, it is always applied for the next month. Okay, and you transmit what was wrong and what was corrected and the reason for that corrections. And you also have an impressive feature here with source tax. I don't know if I'll be able to show it since this is the test. I don't think I'll be able to show it here, but there is a feature where the institution that you transmit to, that this institution receives the data and it itself can check if there was a mistake. So here the institution might say to you that this person was not subject to source tax and that a correction is needed. I really want to show it to you, but I have to set up something. If we go here,
Don't try to reproduce it at home.
you don't have access to that, so you won't be able to. So is this for January? Yes. Okay, look at the details. Here, for example, we have the case where the institution automatically detected that she was not subject to source tax. So you have in the notification here, so this is the response. You have in the response in German that Frau Egli was not subject to source tax, and the suggested correction. So the old code is this, with these amounts, and under it, the new code. Okay, this is another case, but you get the idea. So here it would have been a correction bit of A0N to A3N with the new amounts. And you can directly import these corrections. So these will create here a new correction made by the ACI. You can also download, you can also download the verified source tax statement that describes this whole PDF, that makes a PDF about all the corrections that were made by the institution itself. Here it doesn't work since it's the test server, so we don't have access to that. You also have the statistic declaration, for example, for January, with all the employees, and you can of course always visualize what you're transmitting before the transmission. Something else, the yearly declarations now. This is the most interesting one. And you have all your institutions. You can download all the different reports. So, or AVS report, or the LRA report. And also, the most beautiful one, the salary certificate, which is directly generated in Odoo with our beautiful signature here, which is made by Odoo, and you have everything here. Here's the button to generate a global PDF with all the wage statements, and here's the button to send it to each individual employee. So I clicked send wage statements. It creates two of them here, and this will automatically be posted on the document portal of the employee. And same stuff, you can declare the salary, get the status, and you see all the different responses of the institutions. We also have the LPP early year report. So here it will calculate an LPP basis. You can of course change this amount since the calculation maybe not take into account a future commission that will be paid or a future recurring wage that will be paid. That might reflect reality better. And you can declare salary here, get the status, get the result. And the insurance will provide you with the relevant contributions for these employees. And those can be automatically imported through this button and written on the contract of the employee.
Okay, so that's what we discussed just earlier with the rate incoming. But for now, it's the absolute value that you have.
This is mostly useful for employees that are paid by month, so that their contribution don't really change. So this can be used for them. But for hourly employees, it's a process that is a bit more difficult. I know that SwissDec is remaking the whole LPP process transmission. So maybe in the future version, this will be handled a bit more cleanly, because LPP right now is a bit hard to handle on SwissDec. But on the, I think, the minor version 5.4 that we will do, this will be handled better through Odoo. So I think we did the whole tour of everything.
Great, it's true. We could go in the reporting as well, but I mean, this part is pretty basic and it's simply for...
It's the same as what existed before. You have the monthly summary of your wage types and the individual accounts for the company and by employee. You have also this new report, which is beautiful. It's a pivot view of the payslip lines. I know that every time I go on the customer database, people go on Studio and add this manually. We decided to add it now in standard, where you have every single line grouped by month of the total. You could also search by employee, for example.
Yes, or filter on a specific employee, and
you have for each employee their respective things, and you can also insert them in a spreadsheet, of course, if it works.
yes. No, but yes, I mean, you're right. That's something that we do indeed a lot on payroll project, not only for Switzerland but for other projects, and that's good that for now it is part of the standard. Okay. Well, I think we are done. We hope it was helpful for you, and yes, and we keep in touch if you want to still discuss it.
Yes.
I see just a question that indeed we forgot about the V17. That is, let's say, is it certified?
Yes, it is certified from V17 up until forever, all the versions that will come. It's the same module, the code is the same everywhere, so it's not an issue on that aspect.
Yes, so 17 is certified. So
thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your questions and your feedbacks. And as I said, if you have feedbacks and requests, if enough people make it, we can make it happen. So don't hesitate.
Great. Thank you very much. And then see you next week with 5 Thinkers. Bye-bye.
Bye.